So we all know about the American Revolution and how it led to the independence for the colonies from Great Britain because of taxes and blah 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 blah. But do we know why it actually started? It all began in 1756 when the 13 British colonies in North America wanted to expand westward into French territory, which led to the 7 Years' War between the two colonies. The British wanted to expand westward because it would benefit them with the export of American goods and exploitation of the raw materials. But the French owned some of this land, and they saw the British as threats. The British and their colonists fought the French and the Native Americans from 1756 to 1763, which was called the 7 Years' War. In the end, the British won the war. But what gave the British the edge in the war? It was their superior navy cutting off the French's reinforcements. Also the fact that France was struggling economically because of the military losses on land and sea. The British Royal Navy
relentlessly swept French merchantmen, warships, and troop transports from the seas, thus shutting off the means of taking reinforcements of troops and munitions from France to Canada.
Great Britain also had vastly greater financial resources available than there were in France, which was faced with national bankruptcy and economic paralysis before the end of the struggle.
Through the Treaty of Paris, the British were successful and the French gave up the North American colonies.
The Treaty of Paris in 1763 ratified Britain's undisputed control of the seas and shipping trade, as well as its sovereignty over much of the North American continent east of the Mississippi River.
But the cost of war was high, and the British needed to gain their money back. The British attempted to cover the cost of war by taxing the colonists. And one example is the British Stamp Act of 1765, which embossed for all legal documents. This teacup is one of many ways that the colonists rejected the British Stamp Act and many other of their taxation. The English felt that the Parliament had supreme authority over the colonies. But the colonists did not want to pay taxes, but they also did not want the British Parliament to have complete control over them. As one colonist directed, "We will not ourselves purchase or take any goods or merchandise imported from Europe by any merchant directly or indirectly." This is an example of boycotting in New York around September 5th, 1768, and the strains and tensions between the colonists and the British grew. Then in 1770, the Boston Massacre happened, which led to 5 of the colonists dying. Even though the Boston Massacre was a tiny conflict because of the rising tension, the Patriots probably dubbed it the Boston Massacre just to spark more hatred toward the British. This also led to the Boston Tea Party of 1773. One of the participants, by the name of George Hughes, recalled that in the space of 3 hours they broke up 342 chests and discharged their contents on the docks. Another way the colonists have tried to have a say against the British was through the Continental Congress. The Continental Congress was a meeting between the colonists' influential leaders to rally ideas against the British government. The First Continental Congress denounced taxation without representation, as well as the maintenance of British Army in the colonies without their consent, and issued a declaration of the rights due to every citizen, including life, liberty, property, assembly, and trial by jury. So here's the timeline. Remember, it started with the 7 Years' War, and it was about the British and the French fighting for certain areas of North America. After was the Treaty of Paris in 1763, where the British was officially the winner of the 7 Years' War. Then the British tried to earn back some money from the war by passing the Stamp Act of 1765 and the Townshend Act of 1767. This tension grew so much that it led to the not-so-massacre of the Boston Massacre. Then in 1773, some colonists wasted about 10,000 pounds of British tea in what's known as the Boston Tea Party. Then in 1774, the First Continental Congress was held, and they decided to give King George III time to change and adjust his laws, or else action would be taken against the British. Well, and the rest is history. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.